Welcome to In the Arena. I'm your host, Mindy McAlindon. Today we're going to do something a little different. We're coming live and we're just going to talk a little bit about a couple things going on. I think there's a lot going on in politics right now. But first, just a reminder, I am your state representative. I represent House District 10 in beautiful Northwest Arkansas. That includes parts of Bentonville, Bella Vista, and Centerton here in Benton County. I also serve on the Republican National Committee. We've taken a little break from podcasting. I've just been traveling a bit, kind of all over the country, doing some different things, but we're back and we're going to talk today about something that I think is truly foundational to our freedoms, and that is election integrity. It's not just a political talking point, as a lot of people like to use it, but I think that it is truly the bedrock of self-government. If our votes are secure and every legal vote is heard, then the will of the people will prevail. And I think that's what's really important. I'm really proud of what we've done in Arkansas. We've made tremendous strides over the last 4 years, at least that's how long I've been in the legislature. But under Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders and with our Secretary of State, Cole Jester, we now rank #1 in the nation for election integrity, according to Heritage Foundation scorecard. That's up from #8. It didn't happen by accident and it didn't happen overnight, but it was deliberate, common sense reforms passed by the legislature over the last few years. We have really strong voter ID laws, citizenship verification, protections from foreign interference, and our ballot measures, and a really active election integrity unit that the Attorney General's office has. There's a hotline that you can call real time if you see something going on that you think shouldn't be happening in our elections. But even though we're strong, I think we still need to talk about it, and we need to talk about what's going on, not just in Arkansas, but also nationwide. So again, we have strengthened a lot of things, not just our voter ID, but also the way that we bring in absentee ballots here in Arkansas. You have to have a valid excuse. You have to include a copy of your photo ID and often have to have a witness with contact information. In addition, someone can only bring in one ballot at a time if they're bringing in an absentee ballot for someone. So you can't bring in a stack full of ballots for anyone, which is great. I think all of these things reduce the opportunity for fraud, but it still protects access for those who truly need it. Our military serving overseas, elderly, homebound, are people who just can't make it during the 2 weeks of early voting because they're traveling or out of town. So it gives those people opportunities, but it reduces significantly the possibility of fraud. We also have talked a little bit about some other things that we don't do here in Arkansas. So for example, we don't have same-day registration. We don't allow for that. We have very limited funding for any of our elections. So we have limits on what can be given to any candidate or even to ballot measures. And we don't do ranked choice voting. And if you're not familiar with that, I can clip you to an episode where I've talked about ranked choice voting. It's very, very difficult to get a really good candidate out of ranked choice voting. And what we see happen sometimes is that people are disenfranchised because maybe they didn't rank all the candidates, so they didn't actually get to speak into that runoff. So we don't do any of that, and we don't consider any of that to be voter suppression. What we really are saying is this is voter protection. We're protecting the vote to ensure that eligible Arkansas citizens are deciding Arkansas elections. And I think that's really important, so I'm going to repeat it again. The goal of election integrity is to make sure that eligible Arkansas citizens are deciding what's happening in Arkansas elections. And I think that is something that probably 80 to 90% of all voters are going to agree is what we want to have happen. Let's talk just real quick about the SAVE Act, because there's a lot of people talking about the SAVE Act, whether it suppresses votes, whether it helps protect our elections. And so let's peel back just a little bit of that. This is really common sense legislation. What it says is it requiring documentary proof of U.S. citizenship when you're registering to vote in a federal election. It strengthens voter ID requirements. It makes sure that states are removing non-citizens from their rolls. And yes, there are non-citizens on our rolls in some states. And then it also just enforces what the law has always been, which is only American citizens vote in American elections. And all of that is really good. So there is some pushback about what does this look like for women? So if a woman gets married, is she now unable to vote, or a minority? Do they have trouble getting an ID? All of this is misinformation. Married women who've changed their names have always had to go through these processes, right? If you want to get a job, if you're changing your name and you want to get your check now, you have to go and show ID and show your marriage certificate to your employer. If you want to get your driver's license, if you want to get a bank account, all of those things require IDs and require proof of name change. So this is not an extra hoop that anyone has to jump through. It's the hoop that you're already jumping through to do all the other things that you need to do, like get a driver's license and have a bank account. And same with minorities. Everyone can get access to a bank account through their driver's offices. The SAVE Act, though, does have reasonable accommodations and alternative processes for citizens who have trouble getting that documentation, or if they don't have the resources to get their birth certificate and those kinds of things. There are accommodations within the SAVE Act to allow citizens to be able to get those things. So it really does not stop any citizens from voting. It stops non-citizens from voting. And the goal of that is to restore trust back for everyone. So again, here in Arkansas, we're already doing a lot of this. We're already looking and cleaning up our rolls, make sure that we're keeping them clean. We ask for a valid ID when you come to vote. So we're doing a lot of the things, and our congressional delegation supports that. They've also supported the SAVE Act at the national level. So a couple things that we can do to stay diligent on, again, is looking at early and absentee voting, making sure that we have those strict deadlines and verification. If you saw what happened in California with Spencer Pratt, and you saw all those ballots coming in on election day. So those are some things that are an issue. They have something that is called ballot harvesting. And so they are allowed to go to an apartment complex or to a elderly home or even to a homeless encampment and hand out ballots, collect them all, and bring them all back in. No voter ID. Nobody knows who filled out the ballot, all of those things, and that's legal in California. That is not legal here in Arkansas. That is not happening here in Arkansas. And that's one of the reasons why our elections stay secure in Arkansas. There's also a lot of talk about voting machines versus paper ballots. In Arkansas, what we use is a machine marked ballot. So when you go into the election to vote, you get a paper ballot, you put it in the machine and you machine mark it. It spits it out. And if you've never looked at it, look at it the next time you vote. You can see it lists out everybody that you voted for. If there's an error, you can always get it fixed. And then you put it into an optical scanner that will optically count those ballots. So it is machine marked and machine counted. But what we've done is when we've had audits, they've turned up perfect or nearly perfect every time. We just had a runoff with Senator Hammer and Brian Norris for Secretary of State. And in that, Brian Norris asked for a recount of the ballots. And so in, I believe, 5 counties, they pulled a sampling of the ballots and they recounted them. That was actually open to the public. If you've never seen it, it's worth going to watch and kind of see that democracy and election in action. It is fascinating, but the audit turned up hand counting, visually reading the ballots and hand counting them turned up exactly what the digital counted ballots turned out. So wonderful when the audit matches perfectly. Again, looking at how secure our elections are. So what can you do to help make sure that our elections are safe? I think one of the primary things that we can do is be involved. Become a poll watcher or a poll worker. We always need those during election time. These are the people that greet you when you go in to vote. They're the people that stand there and make sure that nobody's coming in and electioneering or doing anything that they shouldn't be doing within the polling station. Report issues. That Attorney General hotline that I mentioned earlier, that's a great place to report any issues you see and to go ahead and document that on a piece of paper. And then just be engaged. Attend your quorum court meetings, talk with your county clerk, see what's going on. If you have any questions or if you have ideas to improve what's happening, that would be a great place to get involved. Arkansas's #1 ranking is a real testament to the conservative governance that we have had over the last few years, rooted in that principle that every legal vote should be counted and every illegal vote should be prevented. So with that, I'd love to hear your thoughts on election integrity. Thanks for joining me in the arena. Be sure to like and follow, and I'll see you next time.